Hey everyone, let's talk about something that's hiding in plain sight in our kids' food: sodium. It's a way bigger deal than most of us realize, so we're gonna jump right into the numbers. Okay, let's just start with this number: 90%. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some score on a test. This number is at the very heart of a health issue affecting so many of our kids. Yeah, you heard that right. 9 out of every 10 kids in the US are getting way more sodium than they should be. And we're not talking about a once in a while thing. This is happening every single day. It's why we really need to get what's going on. So here's what we're going to do. We'll look at how big this problem really is. We'll talk about the serious health risks down the road. We'll uncover the surprising places all this salt is coming from. And then, the most important part, we'll walk through a simple action plan you can start using today. All right, first up, let's really get a handle on the numbers. Just how wide is the gap between what our kids are eating and what's actually healthy for them? And wow, this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? See those blue and orange bars? That's how much sodium boys and girls are actually eating. And that little gray bar at the bottom, that's the recommended limit. I mean, the gap is just huge, from toddlers all the way up to teenagers. To put some hard numbers on it, the average kid is eating about 3,300 milligrams of sodium a day. The guidelines recommend keeping it under 2,300. That is a full 1,000 milligrams over the limit every single day. So, okay, they're eating too much salt. What's the big deal, right? Well, this is where it gets really critical, because the consequences start way earlier than you might think. Now, look at this number: 1 in 6. This points to a health crisis that isn't decades away. It's happening to our kids right now. That's what it is. 1 in every 6 kids from age 8 to 17 already has raised blood pressure. This is not some far-off adult problem anymore. It's a direct result of these high-salt diets, and it's affecting their health today. And the eating habits we form in childhood usually stick with us. So a high-sodium diet right now is basically paving the road for a much higher risk of heart disease and stroke when they grow up. We are literally setting their health trajectory for life. And this right here is a huge piece of the puzzle. When kids get used to really salty foods, their brains and their taste buds adapt. They start to crave that intense flavor, which makes it incredibly hard for them to enjoy healthier, less salty foods later on. Okay, so where is all this salt even coming from? Now, if you're thinking it's the salt shaker on your dinner table, you might be surprised by who the real culprits are. Here's the truth. Most of the sodium is already in the food long before we ever buy it. A massive 65% comes from store-bought processed foods. Another 13% comes from fast food and pizza. That salt shaker at home, it's a tiny, tiny piece of a much bigger puzzle. In fact, get this. Over 40% of the sodium kids eat comes from just these 10 types of food. And look at the list: pizza, bread, sandwiches, chips, chicken nuggets. I mean, this is basically the standard kids menu, right? And that's exactly why this problem is so widespread. Okay, so we've laid out the problem. It's big. But now for the most important part. What can we do about it? Let's get into some simple but really powerful steps you can take. It really comes down to a simple 4-step plan. First, become a label reader. The sodium difference between 2 brands of pasta sauce can be just shocking. Second, get creative with spices. Use herbs, garlic, citrus instead of always reaching for salt. Third, when you cook at home, you're in the driver's seat. You control everything that goes in. And finally, use your voice. Ask for lower sodium options. Demand is what drives change in the food industry. And remember, this doesn't have to be a giant, overwhelming change. It's all about small, simple swaps. Using garlic powder instead of garlic salts. Choosing veggies canned in water instead of salty brine, and then rinsing them off. These little things make such a big difference. And I've got some fantastic news for you. Our taste buds are not permanently wired for salt. It only takes about 3 to 4 weeks for them to adjust to lower salt levels. Food actually starts to taste more flavorful, not less. Change is totally 100% possible. So, we'll end with this thought. The food we give our kids today is doing so much more than just filling their bellies. It's programming their taste buds and their health for the rest of their lives. What we put on their plate today is shaping what their future is going to taste like.